Hello, fellow Star Wars fans. My name is Star Raptor, and welcome back to the channel. I can't wait to talk to you guys about this book I've been waiting a long time to get in my hands, and that is Star Wars: The Living Force. This is my spoiler-free review. This, of course, is written by John Jackson Miller. First and foremost, let's just take a look at how magnificent this cover is. This is one of the best Star Wars covers I've ever seen. It really gives you that Drew Struzan kind of Star Wars theatrical feel. And this book is about all the Jedi Council, right? We got 12 members of the Jedi Council a year before the Phantom Menace. We're getting the likes of Ki-Adi-Mundi, of Yarael Poof, of Even Peel, of Eve Koth, of Plo Koon, and so many more other characters that we've never really dived into too deeply, at least with canon. So this book, the short little description here I can give you guys is the Jedi Council is going on a road trip. Short and sweet as that. They go to a planet, which is one of the big projects for the High Republic, that this planet Quen was kind of destroyed hundreds of years ago by just manufacturing and pollution. And the Jedi had this idea, especially from Appa Rancisis, to do this grand renewal program to kind of beef everything up, to make it look good. And it became this really nice archipelago, and then it kind of fell recently into disarray. And Qui-Gon brings up to the council that they've been sitting around in their ivory tower, so to speak, but really they are, and they haven't been interacting with the actual people of the galaxy. And people are starting to realize, like, the Jedi are very secluded. They've been closing down these outposts that we've been seeing being established during the High Republic era 200 years before this book. So it's about time that the Jedi get out there of the High Council and they start interacting, start just helping. And Qui-Gon gives this message: just help one person, just help one person personally. And that is where we get into this book. This book really has that kind of feel of the Jedi at their best, not Jedi fighting necessarily as guardians and generals that we've seen many times. And just giving a little bit of hint, we kind of see that a little bit in this book, but this book is really about the small connections, the small interpersonal connections of how the Jedi are imagined by the public, just helping people, right? Like, for instance, a Jedi, I won't name names because I will let you discover that on your own, but a certain Jedi giving relationship advice, or a certain Jedi helping kids, just certain little aspects. And that's where I'll dive into my positives here. Certain aspects that the Jedi, these are the great people of the galaxy. They're going around, they are there to help. We don't see them as warriors as much in this book. And that might slight some people right off the bat. I would say right off the bat, don't go into this book thinking this is going to be like a Clone Wars novel where it's like 24/7 nonstop action, because you're not going to get that in this book. Although the last third or the last quarter of this book does have some pretty epic climax feels to it. And there are some different things throughout this that will pick up the speed. But yeah, the pacing itself I thought was really good, but some people, I can already imagine, say, oh, this book might be a little dry. It might be a little bit boring in the beginning, because there's a lot of things being established in the beginning of this book. I will say that John Jackson Miller does a great job of really expanding the universe. He comes up, I don't know if it's something from Legends called the Slice, which is this area of space in the Ottoman, it's Otumian or something like that, like this area of space, this trade route that's in between Hutt space and the core. And the Hutts don't really touch it, but then you have all these other gangs that are coming up, such as this different gang called the Rift Walkers, the Stave Skulls, just a bunch of these people called the Vile, like a whole bunch of different like under gangs that I think were created by John Jackson Miller to kind of flesh things out. And the idea that, especially in the Barnes & Noble edition of this book, which I hate, I do not like region lock stuff, you do get a nice representation of the map of Quen. And I think having those maps in a Star Wars novel should be something that's more regular, because I really did appreciate, kind of reminds me, picking up a Lord of the Rings or a Game of Thrones book. We always have maps in those, and it really is nice to kind of reference that, go back and forth between that and see where they're at, because there's many different islands, and I do like the topography. I do like even another planet in this, Valordium or something like that. There's a lot of cool planet specific stuff that is happening based on the geography and different things like that. This book is giving voices to characters that we really haven't heard from their voice, and it's personalizing them. Like Adagala, oh my gosh, how dogmatic that character is. And then you have a character such as the Quirmian Yariel Poof, who is just comedy gold. And then you also have a character such as Eth Koth and Depa Balaba. You get the point. Like all these characters you've seen in the background of these movies, they actually get their own chapters, their own POV, their own perspectives. And it is just absolutely awesome to actually finally get that information. Again, for a canon novel, I'm not well versed with legends, but I'm assuming that there's even new stuff here for these characters we've never even heard about, and I really appreciate that. And I like this Three Stooges act of these certain adversaries that Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon meet in the beginning of the book, and they kind of repeatedly find them throughout the book, and it adds that levity to the story. It adds that kind of comedy gold. I do think that Uriel Poof was in one of those Robot Chicken sketches that I have not seen. And I feel like John Jackson Miller kind of took that and went even further with it. And it's just this old curmudgeon Jedi that has been around for hundreds of years, and he just doesn't give a crap anymore. Like that's the attitude that Uriel Poof has. And it's just so freaking funny. I love the exploration that John Jackson Miller does with this era of Star Wars, right? We're a year before the Trade Federation starts to blockade the planet of Naboo. So what is happening, right? There is no military of the Republic. The Republic kind of just like commissions different ships and stuff to kind of do their different judicial operations and all, but there is no organized military, right? You have these different things happening with Valorum and Palpatine. We're seeing the seeds of that distrust between Valorum, that he would eventually be supplanted by Palpatine. So a lot of really cool stuff like that I really appreciated. There's a lot of great allusions and references to the future of certain characters, of certain events that you read that and you go, oh, I see what he did there. I see what John Jackson threw in there, right? It is so awesome to see that stuff happening. I will say that the lead antagonist in this is a pirate, and her name is Elastra, and she is the leader of the Riftwalkers. She has a grudge against Jedi, and she's not force sensitive. You know, she is not this grand Mandalorian warrior or anything like that, but her planning and her just animosity to the Jedi, it actually is pretty effective, and it's really cool to see a new character. She's a Nautolan that is introduced that is able to give the Jedi a run for their money, and that's as far as I'll say, because for all the other villains we've gotten in Star Wars recently, this one especially definitely resonated with me a lot more, because it's they are a very she's a very competent villain for the most part, and there's a lot of feels in the story, a lot of feels of really. At any given moment, you know, John Jackson Miller just pulled the rug out from under me, and it's like, whoa, that hit me really hard in the heart. A lot of stuff with Yoda, especially, to give a little tease to you guys out there. I will say there's only some negatives here, right? The beginning, as I said, is a little dry. There's a little stuff. There's a lot of, you know, getting a lot of the ground covered, building a foundation for these characters that we've never met and stuff like that. I will say it almost feels in the beginning half of the book we're reading two different books. You got what's going on with Zelastra and the Riftwalkers in her headquarters, and then you have what's going on with Quen, and the Quen stuff feels like a lot of short stories, almost like chapters, where it's like, okay, this Jedi pair is going to go help them. You know, Plo Koon and Sassy Tin are going to fix up vehicles. And then we're going to get Yariel Poof and Kaidi Mundi going about on this little thing over here helping these people. So it really felt kind of like separated, but then it does come together. You just have to have the patience with it to stick with it. But that being said, that was very minor for me. I'm going to give this one a 9 out of 10. I think that John Jackson Miller did it again, and he needs to write more Star Wars in this era. I want to see more stuff with some of these really funny characters, like Yariel Poof. We need more Yariel Poof. Just give us High Republic Yariel Poof stories at the very least. Something with even like a character like Eth Koth having very interesting stuff that happens towards the end of this book that gets me very intrigued with his character. Let's even see maybe some of these characters picked up in a pseudo sequel in that Attack of the Clones between Phantom Menace era. That's like 10 years that we don't have much going on besides The Glass Abyss, which is coming out apparently in fall with Mace Windu's own book. But other than that, it's always great to see a Star Wars book that is not connected to any other media that is currently being pushed, other than the 25th anniversary of The Phantom Menace in a couple weeks. But just like Rise of the Red Blade by Delilah S. Dawson. I'm really liking the approach that Lucasfilm Story Group and everybody else is pitching for these one-off stories that are, 400 page or so, that are going to have a nice beginning, middle, and end, but I also have a little bit of, okay, I would like to see more. So these one-off stories have been really hitting with me lately, and I think you guys will really enjoy this as well. So let me know in the comment section below what you think of my review for The Living Force. Are you going to be picking this one up ASAP? Let me know in the comment section down below. For more on Star Wars, you're already in the right place. This is the place for all the comic reviews, for all the book reviews. Just go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already, and do hit that like button so that this video gets spread to other people for a positive Star Wars community. That's going to do it for me, Star. Thank you so much for watching, and may the Force be with you always. Thanks for checking out the video. Please hit that thumbs up symbol. It helps me know that I'm making content that you guys enjoy. And if you enjoyed this video, I also included 2 videos down below you guys should check out. And please consider subscribing to this channel. It helps support me, and it notifies you guys of when I get new videos up on the channel. You can also contact me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram @StarRaptor.